The world we live in is a diverse and vibrant place, filled with millions of different species of plants, animals, and other forms of life. While we often take these plants for granted, they are actually essential to the health and well-being of our planet. Without them, the world would be a much different, and much less hospitable, place. This is Fantasy World. We try to imagine everything about your fantasy. The food chain is a delicate and interconnected system, with each species relying on the others for survival. When one species is impacted, it can have a ripple effect on the entire chain. In the case of plants, their role as primary producers is critical to the health of the food chain. They use energy from the sun to produce food through photosynthesis, which provides energy for themselves and for the herbivores that feed on them. Herbivores, such as cows, deer, and rabbits, depend on plants for their food, and without them, they would quickly start to starve. This would lead to a decline in their populations and in turn, would impact the carnivores that feed on them. Carnivores, such as lions, wolves, and hawks, would have less food to eat and their populations would also decline. This decline in carnivore populations would impact the scavengers that feed on their remains, such as vultures and hyenas, leading to a decline in their populations as well. The decline of one species would also have a cascading effect on other species that are dependent on it for survival. For example, if the population of deer were to decline, the plants that they eat would no longer be trimmed, leading to an overgrowth of these plants and a decline in the habitats of other species that rely on them for food and shelter. The loss of plants would also have an impact on the biodiversity of our planet. Many species of plants and animals are endemic to specific areas and are dependent on the vegetation of these areas for survival. Without these plants, many of these species would become extinct, leading to a decline in the overall diversity of life on Earth. Additionally, the loss of plants would also have a major impact on the livelihoods of people who depend on agriculture for their food and income. With no crops to harvest, food prices would skyrocket, leading to widespread famine and hunger. This would also have a major impact on the global economy, as many countries rely on agriculture as a major source of their income. Plants play an essential role in producing and maintaining the levels of oxygen in our atmosphere. Through the process of photosynthesis, plants release oxygen as a byproduct, which is critical for the survival of all animal life on Earth. Without plants, the levels of oxygen in the atmosphere would drop, leading to a decline in the health of many species and eventually, widespread death. The lack of oxygen would be particularly devastating for humans, who would find it difficult to breathe and perform everyday activities. People with respiratory problems, such as asthma and COPD, would be especially vulnerable and would likely face an increased risk of complications and death. The decline in oxygen levels would also impact other species that need it to survive, such as birds and fish, leading to a decline in their populations and a decline in the overall biodiversity of our planet. Another major impact of the loss of plants would be on the levels of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is one of the primary greenhouse gases responsible for global warming, and plants play a crucial role in absorbing it. Through the process of photosynthesis, plants take in carbon dioxide and convert it into food and oxygen, helping to maintain the balance of gases in our atmosphere. Without plants, there would be no natural way to absorb carbon dioxide, and the levels of this gas would rise quickly. This would lead to an increase in global warming, which would have a devastating impact on our planet. It would lead to melting glaciers and rising sea levels, which would threaten coastal cities and displace millions of people. It would also lead to more frequent and intense natural disasters, such as hurricanes, droughts, and wildfires, causing widespread destruction and loss of life. The lack of plants would not only have a profound impact on the air we breathe but also on the soil and water cycle. Plants play a vital role in maintaining the health of our soil and regulating the water cycle, and their absence would have far-reaching consequences. The roots of plants are crucial in keeping soil in place and preventing erosion. They anchor the soil, preventing it from being washed away by rain or wind. The roots also help to improve the structure of the soil, making it more fertile and able to support a variety of plant and animal life. Without plants, the soil would become loose and prone to erosion, leading to the loss of topsoil and a decline in soil fertility. This would make it difficult for other plants and crops to grow, leading to food shortages and widespread famine. In addition to their role in soil conservation, plants also play a vital role in regulating the water cycle. Through the process of transpiration, plants return water vapor back into the atmosphere, helping to maintain the balance of water in the soil and the atmosphere. Without plants, there would be an increase in the amount of water in the soil, leading to waterlogged conditions and an increased risk of flooding. At the same time, there would be a decline in the amount of water in the atmosphere, leading to changes in the climate and weather patterns. The decline in water levels in the atmosphere would also have a significant impact on precipitation patterns, leading to reduced rainfall in some areas and an increase in drought in others. This would have a devastating impact on agriculture and food production, making it even more difficult for people to grow the crops they need to survive. The decline in soil fertility and changes in the water cycle would also affect the health of ecosystems, leading to a decline in biodiversity and a loss of species. Moreover, the loss of plants would have a profound impact on the beauty and diversity of our planet. With no more trees and other forms of vegetation, the landscape would become barren and desolate, and many of the species that rely on them would become extinct. This would result in a world that is much less diverse and much less vibrant, and would also have a major impact on the tourism industry and other sectors that depend on the natural beauty of our planet. Finally, the loss of plants would have a major impact on human life. With no more crops or wild plants, people would no longer have access to food and medicine, leading to widespread famine and disease. This, in turn, would lead to a decline in human population, as well as a decline in the quality of life for those who remained. In conclusion, the world without plants would be a vastly different and much less hospitable place. From the food chain and the air we breathe, to the soil and the water cycle, and the beauty and diversity of our planet, plants play a crucial role in maintaining the balance of life on Earth. This is why it is so important that we work to protect and preserve these important species, and ensure that they will be around for generations to come.